Let's see. Yep. Hi, folks. Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Pardon my difficulty. I am doing some setup, and my main monitor just died. Don't know why, but the Acer offering of Doom 2.0 is now talking to my display tablet again. So, give me a second. You're going for a trip. And that can't be there. Sorry. I am a professional. Really, I am. I'm professional enough to be dealing with the fact that I'm having technical difficulties and I'm making it work. However, that's what we're going to do. Just as a quick reminder that the Historical Fencing Guild is made possible by a tremendous support from IndieCD. Made possible by sales of my books. Sorry. I had to rearrange things because I was trying to fix some problems. And now I have to grab my books because they aren't where they're supposed to be. Ah, there it is. All righty. These include The Simple Sword, your one-stop, easy-to-understand guide to go from so you've never held a sword to handling one with skill and proficiency. The follow-up, The Fighting Axe, and The Simple Spear. This is my ongoing series of introductory martial novellas and manuals to teach you guys the ins and outs of hand-to-hand combat. There we go. Nope. There we are. I do have a bit of announcement after I do this, but the rest of what we're made possible by is, of course, Patreon at patreon.com/the Historical Fencing Guild. These fine folks got to see the 2 videos I did already several days earlier than the public seeing this. And these wonderful people who are listed at the bottom, due thanks to Off in the Woods, Frog G, Ronald Drain, Bladed Thesis, Brian K. Morris, Cindy Kep, and Steve Augusto. These people are what let me keep the things going by as little as $1 a month helps me keep the lights on. And I get to use that money to upgrade facilities and buy trainers and parts for trainers. And really wrap it all up to do what we do. We're also we have a new sponsor technically, and that is White Boot Arms and Armory. White Boot Arms and Armory is my personal company, and my wife, of course, where to handle the tax side and legalities of selling the manuals and the art and all the other things I do, all in one spot. We've been doing it so long, it was time to make some business decisions. So we are doing that. I am very excited to be at this level, and I want to invite all of you guys out February 24th, 2024 to the Benton County Annex building in Fowler, Indiana. I'll be sharing the details around for IndieCD.con, which is an event, a convention for independent creators, authors, and other types, including yours truly, to come together, network, discuss, sell. I'm hoping to get some open table discussions going. We're 4 months out. The tables are filling up, but a table fee is $50, and I'm only asking table fee so that I can keep admittance to be free. So that's part of what's going on. I want to put a huge shout out to Joe Bachman because this monstrosity over here is my new computer for streaming, and it is a thing of wonder. I had it all set up today for dual monitoring with an old monitor, and the old monitor just is not acknowledging it right now for reasons I am not sure of. It was supposed to be set to be primary, but we got things to work. So there was a slight delay. However, guys, Guys, let me get to the chat and we'll get talking because we have a lot to talk about and I don't want to fall too far behind. All righty. First through the door is Alex Creation. Dropping my like to fight the algorithm for you, Nick. I'm going to head off here for the night. Have a good one, everyone. Oh, Alec, I'm sorry because I brought in my sword cane trainer for to talk about sword canes with you. But if you need to get the sleep, I fully understand. If you need assistance, let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. And Thesis, happy Friday, Sword Family. Happy Friday, Thesis. I hope you're having a wonderful one. I will not be in front of a computer in the evening tomorrow, so I will have to catch your video on the rerun. I am very looking forward to that subject matter. He's covering the difference between Gung Fu and Wushu. And I think it's a very important thing to discuss. I am looking forward to that. And Cindy Kemp says, well, hello there. The Blizzard chicken migration has been completed, so perhaps I will be able to drop in here more consistently. Wonderful. I didn't know you were among the birds of the snow, but it is really, really good to know. Let me see. I can almost. Oh, why? That's why it doesn't look right. Proper glasses, Nick. There we go. It is the blackest of Black Fridays. Mariah has been let loose upon the earth. The only thing that can possibly stop her are the forces of the Whamageddon. But yes. Evening, everyone. Good evening, Foxy. You know you need some big stompy robots wielding simple swords and fighting axes against simple spears and the melee forces coming through the thinning veil. Get them here. Amazon.com/store/Mr. Nicholas Anthony Tucker, the second author. And yes, she is referencing my Through the Thinning Veil, 7 great stories to chill your bones, several of which are taken and fictionalized accounts from my days as a paranormal consultant. Try to guess which is which. This is a good read, folks. It's a quick read, but it's a good read. And check out Nick's art at deviantart.com. Support Nick's efforts to help train people to be dangerous safely. Patreon.com/The Historical Fencing Guild. Absolutely, you guys are lifesavers. Tune into the Historical Fencing Guild tonight at 7, which is this show. If we were closer, Foxy and I would come to the con with our various jewelry and journals and such. I understand. It can be it would be quite a haul from Utah, but the door is open, and sometimes the universe does strange things. So just want to let you know that is open for you in February. No, I am not a Blizzard chicken. Others are, however. I see. Speaking of tea house business, yes, that is the link for Bladed Thesis's YouTube channel and his program. Go follow that. Get notifications so you don't miss it. Unfortunately, the reason I don't usually broadcast on Saturdays is my Saturdays are incredibly busy as a rule with a lot of the necessities of family life. So that's where I get on that. Alrighty, I was hoping to be able to do this across multiple screens, and it seems to be being a little argumentative. So let me see if I can fix this real quick, and it will make our lives ever so much easier. Let's go display settings. Boom. Is this going to turn on now? Oh, we got a blue light. Maybe? No input. I know the cable's not shot. It's brand new. Well, I guess I'm going to have to do it, how they say, the hard way. We're going to fix this. We're going to come here. We're going to close this. And I am going to go here. YouTube. Blink. I normally have this all set up in the there we go. In the other system, but we can make it work. Let me get back to where I need to go. Here we are. And that's going there. And I can present now. Share screen. Chrome tab. Boom. Share. And we should. Let me fix this real quick. Okay, we're groovy. But wanted to go here to PHA because there are a few Black Friday specials. As it is Black Friday for the next 4 hours, and a lot of these are extended, I want to give you guys a shot at them because some of it was cute. So I wanted to really help you guys whenever I can find things. I look for deals. I saw some on Amazon. I'm going to see if, here we go. I was looking through Deal of the Day, view all deals of the day. Now, this is a fun prop thing that I think you will enjoy, and that is the cutting board with the Marzano cut for $2.99. If you have sword people in your life and you are looking for something inexpensive but really cool, you can get them. There are a couple of these bamboo cutting boards that are wood burnt or laser engraved for with references to what we do. If you're looking for something heavier, that's a great deal on this slightly damaged Leatherface shield, but that knocks a quarter off of that. And let me see. I'll be honest, I'm not sure about this 4-book master series. I need to look into the cost because that is very expensive for 4 books. But yes, I know our dear friend Richie would probably enjoy the 4x6, the 6x, the 9x6. Hi, I'm dyslexic. Cutting board at $2.99 because these guys are at a 76% off, so you can't turn that down. I am not sure how long this is because they show the trainer. Let me see. Well, no, I don't need that. I need this. Oh, so this is their version of a fighting cane for $20. Now the shipping would be rough, but that is really tempting for yours truly, to be honest, because it has a double striking head basically. But I've made things similar to that, and I want you guys to consider things like that. Okay, and these are all usually high-end swords out of most people's price range. And then, of course, the cute version of Lickenhauer 2022 collectibles still. He has some of those in stock. So that's fun. But, Fiore's wall art, but that's 10 by 10, still not bad. For those of you who are classically trained, a lot of these would be very, very fun gifts. Now, this I mourned. He had a typo in his Dusek, and somebody got it. But I hope it went to somebody who really needed it, because that's a great price for that, and that's really useful. Extra large pants. He's added a couple things. Okay, cool. The Das Ortenberger fight book, 50. See, I hate the price of fencing manuals. So I try to, that's why I made mine as cheap as Amazon would let me. And then I switched to a cheaper format so that you guys can get the support you need. But I wanted to stop and check that. And I need to go here for just a second. Let me do this and see if I can, because I don't want to completely dox myself, guys. So I have to do it like this. Okay. Because I saw a couple of the trainers that were not bad. Polypropylene weapons. And I am going to go to Black Friday deals. And I saw some deals on here I wanted to make viable. So we'll go I'm not worried about. Wait, where did it go? Did it glitch? Oh, it's doing Black Friday. I have to do it again. Polypropylene. Polypropylene. Weapons. There we go. Let me see if I can't get this squared up right. Excellent. Now, and wait, let me take just a second for these comments. Oh, also, Cindy says come out to the Indie Author Book Expo Business Saturday sale, Small Business Saturday sale from 11 to 7 at Valley West Mall. That, if you can make it to one of those, they are amazing events, and you guys can really help some small support some small companies. I'm sorry, I'm a little flustered by thinking I had everything set up and things being so much better and back in the wonderful world of tech. And you are now a member of IndieCD.org as well as last Sunday. Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that too, Thesis, because that's a great place for you to be involved if you want to take your business a little farther. And that's something I want to see you guys do. Now, some of you wanted more focus on katana stuff. This is not a bad kit if you are going to get into drawing and sheathing and sparring with a basic katana. For $36, you get a lot of primo features, and that it's prime delivery. That is really quite a nice set, especially that it comes with a hanger so you can treat it with the respect it deserves. Now, this bothers me because that picture should not match what they're describing. I didn't see a shield breaker on it, because that looks like the riot shields like I have used as for trainers. And yeah, it says, okay, they have different models, and the transparent round shield, I haven't seen a lot of these available. It's still a little pricey, but I'm going to say that this wouldn't be a bad thing to consider if it's the right kind. I don't know what organic glass is, so that really does bother me because I've seen them in plexiglass, and that might be a translation error. But I wouldn't want to use this set for actual use. Actually, that's not terrible. But it would be great for pattern use, if that makes sense to you guys. The karambit, that's a good price on the karambit. And this is what I want to talk about. It's actually, for the folks who really are into rondel daggers, 838 is a great deal for rondel daggers. And since you can get free prime, I really would consider doing something like that. Let's see. We have a comment. And for people of more Asian persuasion, WMAA publications of Dr. Yang fame are also doing Black Friday sale. All his books are 50% off. That's a great deal. Thank you for letting us know that. I wanted to go through. There were a couple things that stood out. Scrolling through, and it's like, oh, here's some more weaponry. And I think it's more a... Yep. Oh, yes. 6956, 57 is not bad at all for a Red Dragon synthetic sparring longsword. Two-handed sword. These are some of, if you're new to sword fighting, these weapons are some of the safest you can use. I have quite a few of them. I quite like them. They just were over the price line because these usually clock in at about $100. $87.50 would be something I would probably tell you about. At $69, if you are interested in that style, I see no reason to not acquire it. That's just well done. A 32 for a buckler is pretty good. I want to see if there's anything else that I can really reach out with. You see, polypropylene sword. And let's see if that narrows it down. Not really. Okay, so it's not bringing up anything else. That's cool. Okay, so I've looked at that. Oh, I know where I need to go. Give me a second. Because I know I'm rushing this, but I want to give you guys as much time as possible. www.medeve. Yes, my rig isn't quite set up right. Bulls.com. Oh, that's 2 E's. I can type. Let's see if I can't get what's going on. Black Friday sale. Okay. 20% off. That's nice. Okay, so they've just got 20% off, no limit. That is very cool. I was sent a sale involving the Cold Steel collection, all 3 of their main weapons for about 100, which was really tempting for the review purposes. But I would really, let's see. Holiday giveaway? They're going to be doing a live stream at 12 p.m. Central on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. There'll be 2 giveaways. Well, we missed one because I just found out about it. But hundreds of items and thousands of dollars from customers who's shopping with us. That's awesome. Simply place an order in your wish list between 5 p.m. CST and 10 p.m. And then we will start selecting orders within random. Cool. I may just give that a shot. That might be something I try. I certainly hope you guys will try. Now, let's see. We've got Black Friday sale. And basically code BLACK23 for 20% off, no minimum order. That's a great deal, and it goes through to the 30th. So that means, let's see what we have here. Because 20% off can be a really, really good option for a lot of people. Okay. Okay. Let's see if they have a decent. Oh. Now, see, that's not bad, friends. That's a nice Spanish cup hilt. That looks actually quite elegant. Yes, I'm looking at Lifesteal. I'm being bad. I'll give myself, a little bit of this, but frankly, you're not here to watch me shop. You're here to hang out. So, I left my Patreon banner up this whole time. Jeez. Sorry about that, guys. We did get a lot of things done. Oh, I used to be into Rondel before I got my rope dart. Rondel is great if you are going to tie it up with any type of wrestling. I think that works really well. Because you are almost expected to go to the ground. Rondel has a lot of hooks, a lot of disarms, a lot of very close body on body that's meant to be paired with some form of wrestling or BJJ or something. So I would really consider, if you can do so safely, you're experienced in, taking falls, other martial arts, the rondel approach might work really well for you, actually. I quite like it. So it's one of those where I think we need to look at what styles we do outside of swordplay mesh with styles done during swordplay, and try to integrate that as much as possible, because you want to be a well-rounded individual. There are a lot of people say, pick up one weapon, train it, put your heart and soul into it. And I really believe if you are going to do martial arts and you're going to train with weapons, you really, really need to understand what the weapons you may be opposing to. 1 second. There we go. So I would really like to see the synergy. And when I think rondel dagger, I think the synergy of rondel dagger would work really well. Now, it's interesting we talk rondel because if we go back to my fencing days, my old railroad spike had a very rondel dagger approach. If I wanted to fight it that way, it just was a bit long. Now, on me, this qualifies, hold on, here we go. This qualifies as a short sword because this is a 17.5-inch blade. And this grip is big enough I can two-hand it. But while I have to retire this because it's just of the age, I don't think it has an S-curve. Wow, that's stiff. But it is a wonderful weapon, and the downward tangles do work for disarms and stuff. Combine a disarm and then angle in for the lower, for a stabbing, especially to the low line. Nice thigh stab, belly stab, kidney stab, depending on the angles, down at the neck, if you're a big enough guy. For me, this was basically a short sword, so I prefer to fight with two of them and have a delightful day. But I did find some of rondel to be a little limiting. I could do it. I had a blast. I believe Ryan Coker came down and gave a wonderful training with me on rondel. You'll have to dig back a bit in the videos, but it is there. See, Thesis told me with my dancer's background, you do well in rondel dagger. See, that's where I slightly disagree, because rondel dagger is a very direct opposition, tangle and go kind of thing. Whereas you might do really well with a light curved sword. So something like Samshir or the supposed wolf saber that I used to drill with. Something where understanding how to flow defensively while incorporating your offense into it, and using your, from what I recall, relative height and slender body line to stay out of reach. I was working on developing a style for a friend of mine back in the day who had a rather pronounced ballet background. And the ballet background caused her to flow a certain way. And because she had some damage to her wrists, she had to have very light weapons. So we were developing a variant style around either two-handed foil, so an extended grip foil, so it would be very light S-stock, or two foils, two light swords, small swords essentially, moving well, so she could, just integrate with the natural flow of her body. We were getting some real ground in it at one point, and then she left the study of it, which happens. I hold no malice to those who study for a time and then move on to do other things, because the studies usually have a way of staying with them. But, well, yes, an Asian style. Okay. The weapon itself would work very well as a soft, oh, God. Yeah, see, a soft dagger. My brain's just trying to go through the different styles that might work. If I may ask, what is your dance background? Are you traditional? Are you modern dance, ballet, etc.? Because I really have to understand how linear versus how circular you are fluid wise. And so yeah, I'd like to see that, because you seem to favor lighter weapons. You like your rope dart. So I'm looking at something that would complement the rope dart. Possibly butterfly knives, dual butterflies. I'm going to say butterfly daggers to keep it straight, because for me, a butterfly knife is a balisong, which is a whole different ballpark. But a samshir or a light curved weapon, especially if you have a background in belly dance, believe it or not, it's just traditional. What is mislabeled as a scimitar would probably be a great system. But if you're going far more Eastern, so you look at Dao, butterfly swords, paired Dao approaches, because you're going to be doing what I normally call a concussive strike. So let me grab something here to demonstrate talk. Okay, here we go. But instead of making it a concussive strike through and hit, because you're going for the light, and realistically, heavily armored opponents aren't something you have to worry about. So a curved sword allows for more surface area to travel in a slash. And that's easiest done by making a standard attack, and instead of locking your hand and making the strike follow straight through, hitting, loosening, and letting the strike, I need to move a little bit, flow. So you're going to get a nice draw cut. It's just in reverse. So the wound, let me see if I can make it work here. You see how much more surface area we got from that? So a light, smooth, flowing weapon may really, really be of interest to you. So yes, Dao is the first place I'd go with that. Depending on how it's done, I'm trying to remember where I saw it. Basically looked like a light Dao. It might be what was called a kitty sword. Was it literally called the kitty sword? Where did I see that? I'm sorry. I will get back to you on that, because adapting for lighter framed, delicate fighters is different than a lot of the shorter, stout fighters that I work with. I work with a lot of people who, in RPG terms, would be definitely dwarves and hobbits, little folk, because that's kind of how I manifest. But a light, oh God. Now, see, they sold toward the end after I quit, as I was quitting, they had some beautiful curved schlagers and curved fencing swords, which would be light enough and fast enough for you not to have to fight the weight. And you could really flow through them. They were a dream to handle. I got to borrow one at an event in Michigan, and I was in absolute love. But let's see. Johnny says, Michael Jackson did well with the Tommy gun than Smooth Criminal, so maybe study the moves he had there. Absolutely. Remember, firearms are a whole different universe. And I know that was said as a tongue-in-cheek response, But we have to understand that. And still, there is a martial art aspect to firearms. And I'm not saying gun kata, not that I didn't love both Equilibrium and Ultraviolet. I'm not going to say I didn't, because I love those movies in my heart. But there is a martial approach to understanding where you're carrying your weapon, the draw from the weapon, how you're falling into engagement, stances. All of that is a form of a martial art. It's just the weapon is a projectile weapon. It's no different than the approach to the Japanese bow, with that very long bow, gripped very low, the over the head, off the side. I'm sorry, it's a backwards draw, because that's the one that gets the draw, so it's faster. It's a real fascinating approach, an elegant approach. That mentality of how do you draw this thing and control it is important. And that's why I really feel in my soul that there is a horrible injustice being done to students who don't learn at least to experiment fighting from the draw. At some point, if you can learn to fight from the draw, you learn what it's like to be overpowered. How do you draw a sword when the opponent is very close? When you're fighting to get your sword out, do you practice that? Do you just short shank and pull, your backup dagger? How are you working around that? These are things that need to be discussed and trained in depth. That does take the line, in my mind, from historical martial art crossing and blurring the line into what I call combative, which is, again, retention drills for the police. If you ever notice, if there's a loud bang and somebody's right hip drops back, left arm comes up, and they're like, let's just talk about this, that is all about weapon retention and concealing the fact that you are drawing your firearm. Or, starting to draw your firearm. It's a great tell if somebody's a cop, but how people draw a firearm will tell you a lot about their background, their training, where they put it, how they handle it, trigger control, trigger discipline. It's all the same. That's why you have to be very careful in how you sheathe a sword, because it would be very easy to misdraw or missheath and cut your own fingers off. It happens all the time. So you need to respect the full journey of the weapon, from acquisition, attachment, deployment, engagement, retention, storage. We need to talk about these things, and no one does. Everybody starts their bouts from an on-guard position because it's fair and it's easier, it's safer. I don't really like that. I am begging sword makers to make more sheaths for the trainers that they use. And yeah. Oh yeah, hi. Hi, Johnny, it's good to see you. And, I wouldn't be using that European style. Okay, we got to that a bit. Slightly off topic, was watching Knife or Death yesterday. The folks who brought longer swords and peculiar ones, like the Egyptian blade, had the most trouble with breaks with bends and near breaks. Well, a complex balanced sword has more flaw. Any right angle, a hard right angle, is a stress fracture waiting to happen. That's why the good swords have rounded. They don't just straight into the tang. They round down. That way the force and vibration can move nicely. It's not going to catch and have a sudden part where a break happens when part of the sword is moving one way and the other part isn't. And that sounds, insanely basic, but it's simple physics, but people forget that. Absolutely, the longer you make a sword, the more leverage can be used against it, even by its own wielder. So if I have a montante or something, let's say I have, because it's in reach, a big old long, fairly big old long katana, right? And somebody is using a dagger and they get caught like this. This is bad berries, because the flat of the blade is against their hand. The metal of the guard is there. You could get it tangled like this. And brothers and sisters, binds like this happen. You start putting that flex, and well, look how much leverage is on this point. You're way out on the foible. That much leverage is going to start to do damage to the blade. A lot of blades, as you get towards the taper, especially if it has a proper distal taper, that is going to not only be less metal, it's usually harder to retain that edge. So it's most likely to chip or break off near the end. The longer the sword, very often, the more dramatic the taper may be at the end, and the longer the leverage. That's why we need to have this, sense of balance. And again, we need to focus on the draw. And we've got, hey, Johnny. My dad and I were just talking about knife or death. And problematic were very short blades. Guys with machetes seem to do the best. Funny, since the test involves hacking the fool. Yeah, see, the problem with, and that is one thing, the problem with Forged in Fire, Knife or Death, all these programs is many times the tests are weighed heavily towards a dramatic chop, because that doesn't just, test the blade to damage it, but it does make it more likely for the failure to be catastrophic and very good on television. A sword warping doesn't look as good as it shattering it at, the guard or whatever. And we have to remember, programs like that are not intended to be 100% educational. There are educational elements we can learn from them, but they're meant to be exciting and compelling, so that you watch and you stick around while they interrupt it to put commercials and maybe convince you to buy things. But with those testing things, I hate to say it because people get confused. The machete, however you want to say it, is one of the most practical, well-designed, balanced, and effective tools and weapons ever. And people get confused because it's simple. Just because something is simple does not mean it is flawed. It does not mean it's necessarily lesser. Just because something is more complex, it does not mean that it is innately better. And I have found, if you look at the parallel evolution of blades, machetes show up. You look at the German hunting swords. They're sawback machetes. They usually have fancier guards, but they're sawback machetes. A lot of your messers are basically either oversized or overguarded, or both, machetes. You've got a single edge. You've got a taper and then your actual edge. Point of balance is usually way out there. Let me see. Hand and a half, maybe farther, depending on if it's a flared machete. It's not going to stab well, but it doesn't have to. Now, when I have something like, I think they call it the Decimate now, because they called it the Priscilla when it first released. A sword, the bush sword that that I reviewed and cut up a pumpkin with. Go back and watch that video if you've missed it. The point of balance is very nice because it has that deep cut in the belly. And I'll just grab it and show you. 1 second. Try not to fall on my bum. And we'll just come over here. So YouTube doesn't get upset. Please remember, I am indeed a professional. Hey, want to know why I tended to blue my blades when I was in the SCA? Why did you do that? They're not shiny and pretty. Can you see why? This, and YouTube, yes, I am a professional. I've used these for quite some time. I am intimately acquainted with what these weapons do and what these do as tools. Guys, I am a professional. Don't do this at home. But this blade design is a beautiful, simple version. Your bola knives in the Philippines get very close to this blade design. If you cocked the blade forward, you'd have a kukri, which is the famous weapon of the Indian Gurkhas. This is a very effective precision weapon. Now, most machetes would just have a straight line here, and it would look like a giant butter knife. They work. Something like this works. And it works because it puts the concentration of the weight at the sweet spot. So the point of balance is, again, about a hand width out. That's actually right here. Okay, so we're looking at about about 2.5, 3 inches out from the center. By having it here, the blade remains agile. The farther out it goes, the more aggressive it's going to be. So when we look at the epitome of what these things can do, 1 second. I'm very pleased with this weapon. In full-on Nickism, the rig that came with it that was so pretty did not work worth a dang. So I actually scavenged the leather strap with the swivels from a purse of Manda's that broke. And it gives a very nice hang. It hangs handle down, comfortably at my back. It's safe. Can pull up, pop with my off thumb, pop the snap that holds the little piece of fabric that keeps the blade in. Do whatever I need to do. And yes, I've been asked about the sheathing of the sword. When I sheath a sword, not everybody does this. I set the side of the blade on, drag it lightly across the top till I feel that at slight angle, the tip clicks. You feel that click, then you go up and slide down. My hand is way away from anything, and I can just pop the guard on there. This is a very nice tool. It has a lanyard loop. I will always tell you, do not use a lanyard on your machetes or hacking garden implements. You should be aware of your situation enough to keep it from, anybody being around. But if your grip slips with a lanyard, the force of the blade is going to come down, and now you have a blade cutting at you from an angle that your natural reactions will make worse. No lanyards. But this is a great tool. It's a great weapon. I like the range. It is a little short for the way I've been trained. For this long, I'd be in seventh heaven with it. But you just need to be sure that when you're using something, you respect it and that it can do what you need it to do. Let me see. We have a lot of comments. So I'm going to get back into it. I'm sorry. You do a combination of ballet, jazz, and a bit of tap. Okay. Ballet, tap, jazz. Yeah, you should be fine with a semi-aggressive flowing style. I can see you. Yeah, I can see you going Wing Chun with that. And if that's the case, yeah, dual butterfly knives all day. Because you'll have the footwork to handle the short aggressive. And I can see why he thought Rondel would work, but I think Rondel might be a little limiting. Belly dance is mostly about movement isolation. So it's not just the rhythmic dance, it's how tight, when it's done right, you can isolate the different muscle groups. And it highlights that. There are sword-based belly dances, and there are balancing swords, which are curved, and the dances are done with the curved sword is balanced on the dancer's head. It's a fascinating art form, and while it does tend to get hypersexualized in its more modern or fusion techniques, when you see the more traditional forms, it is remarkably elegant, and I don't feel it is treated with the respect that it deserves. But I feel that way about a lot of things. See, that wasn't a long-lasting show, but Knife or Death was interesting. Yeah, so Cindy, the folks who knew how to use the blade, as opposed to those who just went out there, swung the blade as hard as humanly possible at anything that wasn't moving, did better. That's true. Know your weapon, know yourself. Ah, the Yami. And the eye discipline, yes! Batajutsu, yes! Oh, God, you're getting into the old and hoary things I used to do when I was a younger man. Absolutely. There was a brief time I had a sheath. I was fencing with a rapier. And as soon as that sheath was in my hand, all the Batu techniques came back. And I'm just like, block, 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 block. And most of the people who recognized what I was doing and how I was doing it, well, they didn't quite recognize its origin. And it was bothersome. But Trelena actually caught exactly what I was up to. Bless her black little heart. I love her dearly. And she went, oh, no. I went, no, 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 no. I know who you are. And she leaned in because she was in the mood to mess with me. And she says, Batusai the Slasher. Now, but yes, I'm cringe enough to have resonated with that. Hey, Johnny, it's great to see Michael T. from High Desert Comments. Long time no see. The times the blade was rejected were curious. Some of them thought a wiggly hilt was no problem. Or the one who said they'd never actually used a blade they bought, so they hadn't noticed the burr. Oh, on the hilt. How can you not? They didn't train from the draw because they didn't want scabbards on the field. And I understand that. I get the mentality. I just think it is inherently flawed, because what you get when you don't train from the draw is the artifice of the solution is always a longer sword. And you start getting 45, 47, 52-inch rapiers, which are great. In a dual setting, they make sense. Somewhat. But if you have to draw the bloody thing or use it anywhere than a pristine open list field, suddenly that extra steel can be problematic. Which makes it so weird that one time my brain went to fencing for a defensive purpose. I reacted as if from the draw. I think certain when you find the right style that resonates with you, the movements of the style become so natural that you will occasionally simply self-discover either things that are gaps in your training or more advanced techniques the same way they were originally discovered, by your body just going, oh, wait, if I do this and this, I can pull this maneuver off. Might be letting the edgelord out too far out on this one. Would you care to dance with Sakama? Like a Mankiri chain? Yeah. That's fun. Machete. That's it. Machete. Nice. I mean, that's basically what I do with the rope dart. It's a spearhead on the end of a rope, not much different than a kurosagama. Yeah, I can see that making sense with you. And honestly, a light spear, a short-ish, so we're talking 5 to 6 foot, no longer, light spear, if you look at some of the Chinese systems, works very similar to rope dart, actually, and but gives you a better defense, because rope dart is far more defense by intimidation or making sure they're dead before they can do anything to you. So I do believe everyone should learn. You don't have to master this, but everyone should understand if your weapon's a tiny thrusting weapon, a short knife, the pencil, downward and upward stab, simple tiny weapon. You get about a club length, so about 18 inches, 24 inches, half meter kind of thing. You're going with that. And how to defend that yourself with something like that, especially have also weight on the end. A 1 meter stick, which is cane length, some broom length, and then 2 meter stick, which is very close to broomstick length. All these lengths of weapon should be understood. You should have basic understanding of how to make a cut-edged weapon go. Preferably be comfortable with how to deal with it if both edges are, if it's both dual-edged. How to deal with a mass weapon. Because if you understand these, the vast majority of objects you encounter that you would defend yourself with become one of these other things. Then you get into exceptions like, oh no, crud, here's a short flail or rope or garrote. This device here is actually the charge end for one of my rope lights, but it's already strung up. Understanding what a weapon is means if you take someone who studied the katana and you hand them, especially a messer, they can make it go easily. Hand them a machete, maybe. One, it depends if they did one-handed stuff. 2, yeah. If they have grip for 2, like my Lahan sword, which I will be probably using for the next cutting video, possibly as early as this weekend. That is something that's going to carry over. Even, arming swords, because when you get, they're all roughly 2 to 3 foot long edge tools. When you pull the concern about the minutia away, you can learn adaptive systems for handling them. That's what I tried to codify, a basic adaptive system so that you can pick up any weapon you encounter that is safe to hold and make it go. And with that kind of training, you start to realize that not to pick up something that would not be safe to hold. And that's where I lean into. When people get too close, I pull it back into an ice pick grip for, well then, absolutely, if you're used to living in an ice pick, the rondel dagger is going to be your bread and butter because it's real familiar. In fact, if you were making a rope dart for sparring, using a rondel dagger, a cheap one, because they're $8 now, and cutting the unnecessary parts, drilling it, and the ultimate neat trick would be drilling out and then epoxying in, and I'd want to use epoxy, an eyelet to the back, so cutting off the back of the guard at the back, and that would give you a reasonable like combative grade polypropylene trainer. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yes, and don't forget to like and all that stuff. Yes, please, if you're enjoying this conversation, if you're enjoying my program, please like, share, and subscribe to this because I want to get the word out there. If you want to be part of it, feel free to join the Patreon. As I am improving things, I'm back at more active. They get any non-live stream video at least 24 hours early. Usually, I try to make it a week early. But sometimes when something's coming up and I know somebody really needs to see it, we go a little shorter than that. Function over aesthetic every time. Yes, let's go. That makes me happy. Practical. These are tools. Never let the aesthetics, no matter how beautiful they are, remind you that this is not a tool for defense and destruction. And it all depends on who is wielding it and why. Okay, not every time, mostly never. And dervishes are cool too, especially if they've been drinking. oh no. And yes, absolutely. I've seen some dancers who, because a lot of the ballet and ice skaters are very comfortable going into spins, they can do stuff I would not allow other people to even attempt because they have the body control and the awareness while rotating at high speeds to keep track of things. That is a very rare gift. Belly dance is just fluid robotic dance. No. I mean, yes, but no. Belly dance is a wonderful mix of a calculated ability to control one's body, absolute dominion over one's muscle groups and control. It's fascinating, combined with a just love, a resonance with fluidity of motion. And it is literally meant to beguile and mildly confuse. I will tell you, the dancer belts with the coins and stuff that some people are fond of, please remember that those are training tools. That's what they are. If you're going to dance, you should be able to dance without that. You should be able to know silently which part of your hip is moving and which part. Look into it. It's a fascinating art form. And it's the reason why I have, and I think you see Xander pacing around back there, I have my Doombeck because I used to do hand drumming for belly dancers. My least favorite part of being a dancer is when people look at a black girl and automatically assume I'm a hip-hop dancer. I can't stand hip-hop music. Why would I want to dance to it? That is so common, and I'm sorry that stereotypes are so weird and so problematic in things like this. Now, I will say, in point, I do have quite a bit of respect for the hip-hop modern dancers. They have some feats of athleticism and control that are remarkable. But to just presume that, so one of the world's greatest Irish step dancers is a black girl. This has offended some people. I think they can read between the lines, in my opinion. Music is for everybody. Dance is for everybody. Whatever resonates with you, you grab hold, you hold on to, and you love. So yes. I understand what you're thinking, but that thinking was stupid. Also, Talker Nick 2023. Oh, I've used that line many a time. I try to be more gentle. You guys, most of the people who are on this chat have known me relatively short and a time. I was not always this genteel and individual. And with the right student in the right situation, I can be quite curt, we'll say, quite unsubtle. And when there's the time for it, I'm fully capable of it. But I try to give people the honesty of mistake, the truth of when you are learning and you're contemplating, you can and will make mistakes. And that has to be nurtured and preserved. It's important. Let's see. I'm responsible for the no punching face, the face with a gauntlet my local SCA guys adopted 20 years ago. Well done, sir. Well done. I'm surprised you didn't end up running with the Chucks. They love to punch people in the face with gauntlets. Biggest problem when Elders goes is the lack of diversity in weapons. If I can have a two-handed spear, a two-handed sword, why can't you have a spear? It's a knife on a stick. Oh, guys, I love you. But the level of spear erasure that goes on in this sword-fixated... Friends, I love the sword. I do. It is a weapon of elegance and refinement that I have literally used to carve a life for myself. I love and have been indebted to the sword. I have quite a love for revolvers. I think they are elegant and they have their benefits and their negatives. The simplicity of operation and the fact that you don't have to deal with a slide and certain types of jams, I do like them. I know it's archaic. However, these are both sidearms. Okay? These are secondary weapons. These exist in a battlefield anyway as what you have when things go wrong. And they are used often in self-defense and honor duel applications. However, the mainline weapons are bows or crossbows and spears. Pick a spear. Pole arms are just spears with style and a cutting edge. The spear has literally, for the last 500,000 years, longer than humanity, has been the go-to way to defend yourself from things that would kill you in short range. The spear is the tool that helped hold off your big predatory cats and your lions and any number of large threats. They're what were used to instigate the bringing down of freaking woolly mammoths. But the problem, like we said earlier, the spear is simple. It does one or two things. It does it extraordinarily well. And then it is, forgotten because it can be mass produced. There is not as much mythos, especially in Japanese culture, when you compare a spear to a katana. Yari to katana, although I love a good yari, don't get me wrong. But the spear, when in doubt, understanding a spear is one of the greatest things you can have. Because you can take a stick and you can sharpen it and you can blacken the wood over a fire and it will be hardened enough to do harm. Boom. That's a spear. This is without adding spearheads or anything else. You've taken a staff, which is one of the greatest tools of all time, given it a pointy attitude, and said, let's go. And when we talk staff, I see staff as the beginning and the end of weapons development. for hand-to-hand combat. It's where a lot of it started, and you go through it, and as you learn different techniques, you learn spear thrusts and rapier blocks, and you learn sword strikes. Go through all this journey, and it will bring you all the way back to the staff. And the spear is the first evolution of the staff being the first evolution of the stick. Little stick, big stick. Simple. And yet people are hesitant to respect it because we've been taught that a spear is cowardly. Because you're way over there, the pointiness is way on the other side, and you're making pokety death. That's tactics. When you are weaker, when you are outnumbered, out-equipped, when you need to take a whole bunch of people who've never held a weapon more than, a small knife or a farm knife or, reaping tools and things, and say, we need you to hold your own and hold the line. That's where the spear comes from. Bless you. Single-edged swords go burr. That's the other thing I love. One thing I find hilarious is the refinement that both the Eastern folks have in their swords and the Western folks have in their swords. You have the elegance of respecting the sword, etc. And then you have the German hunting swords, which are just like hack it. I'm going to put a saw on the back. Like, this is my prestige. It's a machete with a fancy grip. It's a thing of beauty. I respect that. This is why I love Dusseks. This is why I love Messers. This is why I love German hunting swords. I love Messers because they're a middle finger to essentially the weapons requirements of the time. Whereas other people were like, you can't have a sword. Well, how's a sword defined? Well, it's got a cross guard and a pommel. If it has a pommel, it's a sword. No sword. Okay, I'll put scales like a knife, make the grip longer to offset the weight, and let's go. And I respect that. Because I don't believe in elitism. And let's see. Michael, and I'm sorry if I've lagged behind a bit. I'm 6 feet tall, so my preference is a bastard sword with a handle at a total overall length of 38 to 40 inches. Yeah. It's real easy. You want to have fun, Mike? Get yourself a tape measure and measure. Get back. Measure from your index finger outstretched flat. Can I get there? Yeah. To here. You'll find a very interesting length. That will be your maximum comfortable blade length. Half your wingspan is your natural comfortable blade length. And the reason why people say, well, your wingspan and your height are the same, why not half your height? Because I know too many people who either have arms short for their height because of dwarfism or whatever, or arms long for their height because they're apparently part werebear or something. Gray Boar, the philosophical strangler. I know people whose hands go down past their knees, and then you have to fence them. It's not fair. It's not just. But as a little guy, deal with it. So take that measurement. That'll give you the longest blade you want to deal with, and you'll find that comfortable. Inside that measurement is a really comfortable length overall for a weapon. And once you have that length, which on me is about here. So, oddly enough, if I pulled the trainer blade out of my sword cane, because I made it deliberately long, this is what I need for a cane. My sword canes, I always try to make sure I can actually cane with them with the sword deployed, because I am not wearing it as a fashion statement. I am wearing it as a necessity. That means any weapon that is roughly this long feels very comfortable to me. So if you have a Nagamaki, where it's about 24 inches of blade and like 18 of handle, I'm fine with that. You can draw this down and make it shorter. You can give a very short weapon, and that's going to give me about a 32-inch blade. I can fight that all day. It is my natural favored blade length. If you're going to fight and do things like that, that's going to work very well in your body mechanics. And you have to understand that the body mechanics of somebody who's like you, 6 foot tall, are going to be radically different than the body mechanics of somebody like me who is 5'7", 5'8", depending on how aligned my spine is. And yes, I have dramatic differences in my height due to the spine alignment. I drove the local HEMA guy nuts when we met at a local archery range. I was doing gouging hand style. Kept asking me why I was doing it wrong. There is more than one way to shoot. You can shoot on the outside because it's faster. You can shoot on the inside because it's more comfortable. You can shoot over because it lets you have this arc at a different body length. You can draw down because you need to use the leverage to deal with the poundage. You can draw here because you don't need the leverage to deal with the poundage. You can shoot left-handed, right-handed. And the trick is it reproducible and is it adjustable? So we want this to be the same motion every time. Or this. A lot of times I shoot this way because, actually no, I shoot this way because this hand does not like to be compressed, but it's being pulled doesn't damage the wrist or activate the wrist damage because it's pulling it out and not compressing the nerves. So this is my pull, this is my anchor hand. And whether it's a slingshot, whether it's a long bow, short bow, the anchor point is always this knuckle right in the soft spot on my cheek. Doink. Always there. And once you get this, you're not looking at your arrow anymore. It's the same thing. You make it where the motion is exactly the same. And that's on the list of things I have to try to do again as my health develops. And I'll probably shoot a video of me pulling out an archery target and one of my lighter bows because I don't think I could use my heavy long recurve because that thing's got about a 50-pound draw, and I don't think with my nerve damage I could do a 50-pound draw. But I think I can rock a 35, and if I have to use my little kids' bows that are like 12 or 20-pound light target bows, I'll do that for the fun of it. But you just learn and you go. And it's not wrong if it works. Good evening, folks. Just dropping in for a moment. Glad to see you, Joe. Earlier in the day, I got the second monitor to work, being my old one. But right now, they're not talking, and I'm not quite sure why, but we'll figure that out later. Thank you so much. You guys all thank the IndieCD.org, Independent Creator Directory / Joe Bachman for giving me this incredible PC so that I can continue to stream with quality and control. I am eternally grateful to him, but he's also a hell of a swordsman. I also took the took the cold steel longsword and was using it Mantis Jin style. Well, that's the thing. If you can make it go in a style that feels natural to you, make it go in a style that feels natural to you, especially if you're a big guy. It was funny because my buddy John, and I think it's downstairs, bought one of the Sting swords, the Sting trainers. And he's like, it's a cute little dagger. And he handed it to me, and he watched it become a short sword to nearly just a sword that I could, hand in half. I could almost bastard sword it. The weapons are proportionate to the wielder. So a lot of the typologies get real weird real fast when you're dealing with students of various sizes. Let's see, I have a comment dump, so give me just a moment to deal with that. And we'll go well back up here. And let's see, I'm exceptionally good at knowing where my arms and legs are after 20 plus years of dance. There's a word for it, but I can't remember what it is. Proprioception. Yep, proprioception. And yes, being aware. And this is why I teach people to sword fight. Because if you learn a martial art, you start to learn where your body is. It's literal physical education. And when you have that, you're not bumping into things as much. You're not falling as much because you know where your body is. You know where your center of gravity is. You are aware and in control of yourself. And I also think it's funny when people react to me getting out of the car to Ice 9 kills, Avenge Sevenfold, kill switch engage. Metal is for all. And you had me at Avenge Sevenfold. I mean, see, I only know how you relatively short. I'm not that tall. Badoom-cha. But I'd like to go on record as a passionate hater of Samba. Thank you for your time. Back to oh, that's beautiful. The irony is delicious. And this is somebody who I am kind of in mourning at the passing of Astrid Gilberto. And I am a huge lover of Bossa Nova. But yes, I can see it. Holy crud, Kitty, are you an angel? Yes, basically. Yay, CM Punk's theme song. She sure is. No, I'm kidding. Spears went in the box with the redheads. Not gonna say it, not gonna say it, not say it. Do it. Say it. But I'm trying to be PG here. I appreciate you guys all being good. 300 generations can't be wrong. Hello, Sir Tucker. Hello, Wolf Breaker. I hope you've enjoyed this rather interesting conversation. We got better. In a fight, a real fight scenario outside, you do what it takes to be the person who can walk away. And to walk away first. One thing people don't get is actual hand-to-hand combat sucks. Having to fight somebody who wants to do harm to you, or deal with multiple people who want to do genuine life-changing or ending harm to you is not fun. When weapons come out, it becomes less fun. That's where you want to make sure your verbal jiu-jitsu is in place. The best way in any of those fights, in any of those situations, is to find a way to talk yourself out of the situation. Because anytime violence is necessary, there have been a huge series of failures. Communication has failed. Perception has failed. Tactical and situational assessment has failed. If we have, as people who are not engaged to do violence, ever have to engage in violence, a lot of things have gone very wrong to get us there. And there is a mix of people who want to respond to violence pretending they're soldiers. There's a mix of people who want to play like they're policemen or superheroes. And the largest number of them have never endured violence, or they've never endured violence outside of a ring. It's a whole different world. That's why applied cowardice is something I promote. I want you, everybody watching this, alive tomorrow. And after that, I want you out of jail, because your goal is to neutralize the threat by any means necessary. And when people say that, they think, well, I'll just pull the gun and shoot them. Yeah, that's one way to neutralize the threat, but you've made a series of other threats because now the police are involved. So your liberty is at cost. That individual may have family or associations that now you have problems with. Because of that, you may miss time at work. It causes more trouble when it can just be avoided. You want to take the path of least resistance, the path of most benefit for least action. and very little is worth dying over. Indeed, you do. I'm lucky enough to be in the Vitruvian. uh, Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Blue Teddy. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. Evening, Blue Teddy. Cindy I have 5 gorilla arms. My wingspan is 2 inches longer than my height. With a sloppy right shoulder, that right arm can seem even longer. Absolutely. So you have to understand and account for that. And then, of course, you have range games that can be done by adjusting the grip. I recently was around some Ant Guardians when I went to LodgeCon in Peatone, Illinois. I had a grand time. We vended there, and I got to hang out with them. I hope to see some of them in the chat at some point. They're great folks, but their fighting had evolved a great deal from how it was when I last encountered them nearly 20 years ago. But a lot of them were doing range games and really sliding back on the sword to gain that extra couple inches. It was interesting to see how techniques had evolved and where they were rooting a lot of their stuff through. And again, one of the best trainers, a gentleman named Travis, I can't think of his other name, a very significant individual. I watched him fight. He took the short sword approach, but took it from a boxer stance and varying the blocks. So a lot of the hip block motions, that way he wasn't wasting the time to throw the arm. He could just roll into it, block, 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 block. He's blocking with things. And that left the arm open to do that launch when the opening came. Hi, Foxy. How goes? Hey, Teddy. We got lots of greetings. I think if anything, my arms are a bit short. And that's why I tell you, you can test at home. Just get a tape measure or a fabric tape. And you want to measure, let me see, go this way, sorry. From the edge of your outstretched finger, you're going to stand straight, right off your side, right off of your middle finger, right off of there to your center line, right at your sternum, as close as you can get. That will give you the longest blade you'll be comfortable with, possibly as a thrusting weapon. And it will give you a blade range. So between the length of your arm to here gives you this range of lengths that will feel very comfortable while still being a full sword for you. At your arm gets a little edgy, but once you start getting to like bicep, that's definitely short sword range for you, or long knife, and you need to handle the weapons like that in the design they are. A lot of it depends on how aggressive your angles of defense are and how much basis is tied to the wrists. Let me see. And pretty great. Good night, Foxy. How about you? And being able to versatile switch between finesse and leverage is important to me. Hence the preference for a lighter weapon that I can switch grips on the fly. Absolutely. It's real easy. I was SCA for 12 years, and I still fence occasionally. This is my baby. It is well worn. It needs love, but this is my personal rapier. It is a 34-inch oval Schlager. It's one of the last that's still in service, with a triple triple knuckle duster, an extended cross piece, and of course a cup hilt. This brass part was made by a man by the name of John Miner of Swakhammer Metals. I don't know if he's still merchanting or doing things. My original was a cold iron, a mild steel version that was quite heavy. This lightened up the weight a lot. The extended pommel gives me a nice sweep for those pommel parries, catch with the guard parries, which I have to do things like that often to get the reach to go where I need to go with it. But yes, a light adaptive weapon is very elegant. Healthesis. It's so cold I ache, but otherwise, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I tend not to use a shield, but I'm a heathen like that. I love to make a shield go. My favorite way to spar for fun is sword and dagger, or duel. I've been doing a lot of duel work to rebuild my arms, rebuild my back, rebuild my hands since I developed severe nerve damage as part of physical therapy. I'm trying to fix my posture, and I'm learning new reasons why, and how much of it is uh, associated with my recent ADHD, well, ADD diagnosis. There are aspects in development that run parallel with that. So I'm learning things to change and advance what I'm doing. So yeah, there's nothing heathenish about I don't like a shield. Now, it depends on the combat. If I'm dealing with heavy fighters, I want as much protection as I can get. So a medium to large shield is something I am totally fine with. And because my beloved wife is a polearm uh, lover, she loves glaives and spears, we make a good team if I'm her personal shield wall. I'm a heathen in more ways than that. Many of my friends are heathen. Again, with the cold hoax, I'm on to you. You're welcome to come see the snow. If I had the money, if I hit the lotto, I'm not going to tell anybody, but there will be signs, and one of them is I'll get a hold of Johnny and I'll bring him up and let him see America and crazy stuff like that. You would have had a better view earlier. I think it's done tonight. Oh, got 6 inches dumped on us yesterday. Oh my. Please, thermal citation is 59 Celsius. I'm pretty hot, but not enough for that. LOL. No snow for us yet this year, which is kind of weird, to be honest. We should be having some tonight, but it's not scheduled to last very long. Not expected to. Let's see. Cindy said, I had a compound bow for a while with such a heavy draw. I had to aim the bow at this guy. Yep. Lock the arm, tilt it down to gain some leverage until it kicked over the pulleys. I've had to do that with compounds. I've had to do that with my my longbow. A lot of times, because I am so relatively short, I also have trouble getting past the pulleys in my draw length. So it has to be a relatively short designed compound for the break to be where I need the break to be. You guys talk too much, Ed Talker Twin. Math swords are pretty big, so using longsword trainer works well. Absolutely. I would not be surprised if you could pull up. That doesn't surprise me at all, Foxy. You're a strong lady. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there is nothing wrong with a powerful woman who knows how to work a bow. I am all kinds of about that. Like, I've got a 50 and a 35-pound bow. I can pull both. Probably, Michael T. And especially over time like this, and chat won't stop. Oh, no, I'm fine. Oh, hey, I excel at talking myself out of stuff. Well, my job is to talk you into doing good things. I do too, Teddy, mostly in buying things, even if I don't have the money. I also talk myself into things. So, if you want to learn anything at any level of comfort, even if it's just basic drilling, I was working with a person, and her name was Kitsune Windsor. She was an artist, and she passed. Oh, it's probably been a couple of years now, but it feels incredibly fresh. And she had severe physical limitations. She was in a wheelchair, and she could only hold a couple ounces, but she wanted to learn. So we worked out a way. We got her a telescoping antenna, like from the old time radios, and she was about yay long, and she could do the basic drilling with that. And she's like, I know I'll never be a real swordsman or a swordswoman, but it makes me feel like I'm getting closer. It's like, if you're doing the work and you're trying and you're training, you're the real deal. You can only do what you can do with what you have, and the only opponent who matters is the version of you who is staying on the couch. So you pick whatever you're comfortable with, and I will be privileged to be of service to you. And if I can't, I will do something that very few people online are able to do, and that is I would I'll say I don't know, and then I'll direct you to somebody who does. Thesis has introduced me to many new metal bands, but I was a metalhead for years before we met. Oh, I'm sure. When I say I like all music, and I really do, I like everything from Mozart to Mudvayne. It depends on my mood and the setting. So it takes a lot for me not to like something. And let's see. Stitched Up Heart. Okay. I wasn't, but I was hooked once he showed me some. Like my first metal song I heard was Disturbed's Prayer. Nice song. Stitched Up Heart is pretty good. I heard a song from them with Sully Erna of Godsmack a couple summers ago. Fairly past the hour mark. Any medicine you should take? It was at 8 o'clock. I forgot it, and I did take it within the stream. I just did it in such a way it really didn't disturb anyone. And drinks you should take. Yes, I'm having a beverage right now. Dual wield for the win, so I can switch the offensive hand on the fly. It's so much easier than what I do when I'm single wielding, which is switch hands anyway. It's like, oh look, there's a sword there already. They opened for Godsmack on a cruise tour, and I've about them 8 years now, and they've evolved a lot. Good to see Mixie and the crew make it where they want to. Being ambi is nice, isn't it, Cindy? Here's the thing. If you start out training swords ambidextrous, you will become ambidextrous. You may have to train your left hand longer, but you can learn it and learn ambidextrousness. You just have to put yourself through the time with swords. Check out Grave Frank's a couple of theirs. Okay, cool. I love that there's music recommendations going on in the chat. Yes, being ambidextrous is awful handy. Almost double handy. Ha ha ha. From old-time radios, mechanics still use them as magnets. Yep. Double handy is twice the price in these parts. Wow. Wow. You're lucky none of the miners are in the area or listening. Let's see. Do you accept credit cards? Hello. Oh my gosh. Okay. Y'all are getting a little spicy. So, I hope you enjoy the videos. Check them out that I did. I broke down my evolving nightly drills. I was able to do that at the Benton County Public Library. Thank you to Amanda for allowing that. And I did do the first cutting video where I basically hacked up a pumpkin with this sword. However, it was so sharp, most of the cuts weren't showing till I moved it. Certainly efficient enough to do the job. With that, I'm at an hour 40, so I have no qualms about. There's someone in your house. Oh, that would be my son. He is running back and forth and having a grand time doing it. Normally, I have the camera pointed 90 degrees from here, so I'm not faced out the back window, but I need to be able to see the screen and look vaguely at the camera so you guys aren't watching me do this all the time, because that's not very personable. And good. Go get Nick's books, Amazon.com/store/Mr. Nicholas Talker. Yes, The Simple Sword, The Fighting Axe, and The Simple Spear are all great books to bring people into martial arts, or if you are established, it's a great base primer for Western martial arts. There's some introduction to armoring. There's some introduction to assessing your opponent, introduction to melee combat. It is meant to be a survey book, and it is very, very useful. And yes, you can see my art on deviantart.com/NickT. I have been doing a lot of landscapes lately, but I'll go back to my usual anime silliness as needed too. Foxy says bad kitty, and she's correct to say so. Not that I'm offended, but then go to patreon.com/the Historical Fencing Guild. help teach people to be dangerous safely. Please, I could really use the funds. I want to buy a lot of things to help to review to see if they're really worth it. And if there is a trainer that greatly interests you, please let me know, and I will see if I can acquire it. It just has to be relatively low cost because of my economic situation. Tune into the Historical Fencing Guild at 7 p.m. That's Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, for this program. Generally, you can find the Historical Fencing Guild here. YouTube.com/@thehistoricalfencingguild. Sure are bad, kitty. Okay. Well, while you guys start to trail off in that direction for the sake of my ratings, guys, keep your eyes open. Do your drills. Be kind to yourself and each other. And as always, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. I will see you next week at the very latest for another episode of the Historical Fencing Guild's live stream. If you want to see me sooner, go over to my other channel, the Nicholas Tockert channel, and you can find me Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. for about an hour program. Never mind the Furthermore, where I promote authors and writers and artists, and we talk about the art and building each other up. And basically, I'm the world's most deranged cheerleader, making everybody feel better. But with that, guys, have a great night. I hope you had fun this Black Friday. You have my condolences that Mariah's out there. Just remember, all she wants for Christmas is you. You better be ready when she gets there.